Why do I attract narcissists? The long and short answer is, we attract narcissists by not having good enough boundaries. Truth is, narcissists will try to indoctrinate anyone into their trauma bonding ritual. They stick with the people that stick with them. I am almost certain that the majority of people in long-term narcissistic abusive relationships are adult children of a narcissistic parent. An adult child of narcissists will have a much higher tolerance for narcissistic abuse, because it feels normal to them, making them easier targets for narcissists to seek out. A person that has never experienced narcissistic abuse can become equally as addicted and trauma-bonded to a narcissist, but are unlikely to have a recurring pattern of narcissistic abuse. Things that can draw narcissists to a generally well-minded person are their desperation for a particular outcome in a relationship, their loneliness, being prideful, and too embarrassed to call things off when the narcissist mask slips, their low boundaries, or you have something the narcissist wants, and because narcissists are so deviant, and will challenge even the greatest of minds. Educating yourself about narcissism will give you more confidence at realizing red flags and deal breakers. Narcissists are drawn to our strengths that they consider weaknesses. Destroying what they consider our weakness gives them strength through narcissistic supply, also known as narcissistic fuel. Our ability to have empathy, show kindness, and experience love and joy irks the narcissist, and they use our vulnerabilities as a tool to manipulate and control our emotions. They have resentment and anger towards us for having normal emotions. Their addiction to sacrificing our good emotions is a literal sacrifice to their eternal narcissistic God, and all narcissists worship the same God, which rewards them with fuel when they sacrifice and destroy others. This is how people with narcissistic personality disorder function to survive. Narcissists recognize a lack of emotional intelligence in others, and it matches their lack of emotional intelligence. Relationship with a narcissist is mostly a battle between two adults and their traumatized inner child that needs healing. It is a childish relationship, and why they are also attracted to other cluster B personality disorders such as borderline and histrionic personality disorder. Toxic people with narcissistic traits and other narcissists attract one another. Codependents and people lacking in emotional maturity attract narcissists. Female narcissists know one of men's main priority, when selecting a mate, is her physicality. Female narcissists often use their bodies and sex to severely trauma bond men. Nonetheless, a continuous pattern of selecting narcissists in love relationships, friendships, and at work is probably 100% due to having a narcissistic upbringing. Most narcissists come from a cluster narcissistic family, often mixed with other personality disorders, enablers, and toxic people. If in your early years you had to achieve love, are scorned for everything you said and done, if you were continuously undermined, gaslighted, and carried a burden of guilt and shame, this was emotional abuse. Children justify every kind of abuse, in whichever way they can to make it better. They become trauma bonded to their caregiver's constant back and forth with affection. This is a life-threatening way to bond with your first caregiver. It's living emotionally in survival mode, without room to mature, and it will continue into your adulthood relationships with others. The only way out of this deadly pattern is self-awareness, and committing to the journey of healing and recovery, similar to how you commit to education, work objectives, and other life plans. It is a priority to heal from narcissistic abuse, to no longer attract them into your life. The journey usually starts with obsessing about narcissism, and it is necessary. Knowledge builds power and understanding. Then you must obsess about your healing, learn new perspectives. Now you know such evil exists in this world, get coping tools to manage what are likely PTSD symptoms, learn what are boundaries, and how to implement them. I have spoken professionally with a number of narcissists to know, they easily sniff out timid people, people pleasers, or those riddled with a lot of guilt and shame, as part of their very being. Some narcissists say the smell of people pleasers can be so strong, they cannot get narcissistic fuel from such people, as they are already bored at how easy they think that person will be to manipulate and control. This is normally the same feeling the narcissists have if they discard you. Men generally are very realistic about what standards of women they believe are available to them. Depending on the spectrum of the narcissist, social and economic status will be things that influence the challenges they go for to keep their narcissistic fuel afloat. There will be social influences such as drug abuse, ambition, and the narcissist's general lifestyle that will determine who the narcissist selects to try and deceive for their narcissistic personality disordered needs. They come in all shapes, cultures, and sizes, as do their victims. The only way to truly stop attracting narcissists is committing to your healing and recovery, and getting a good therapist. Other trauma healing therapies may also be required. This process has to be invested in with conviction, especially if you are learning boundaries for the first time. This will need to be practiced in your everyday walk of life, and there is no guarantee you won't attract another narcissist along the way. Educating yourself about narcissistic abuse is key. Most of us become doctors in narcissism once we are made aware of narcissistic abuse. Then we must leave narcissism school, once we have our diploma. There are different types of narcissistic abuse, and if it was covert abuse, abuse since childhood, long-term narcissistic abuse from a spouse, it is all like waking up in a twilight zone. Be patient with yourself, and set realistic goals. Boundaries are to be treated like civilian law, they're there to protect you. Getting used to trusting your gut takes time, how to note red flags, and knowing when too many red flags is a deal breaker. What are your deal breakers? You must know your deal breakers, and the absolute boundaries that are non-negotiable. These things make you a clearer communicator, and it may take time to learn to do these things, without the burden of guilt and shame. Learning how to articulate yourself based on your values and boundaries, in a way that is authentic to your character, and without fear. The truth is we have to take full responsibility, and be accountable for no longer attracting narcissists, once we have been made self-aware. Isolating forever, and trusting no one, is a poor solution that will in turn affect you negatively. The human race needs each other, but it's about selecting the right people for you. We cannot heal around those who made us sick. We have to be pragmatic about our personal circumstances and life duties. If we are younger we have more time to work through it, and if we are older, and especially women, we may have sacrificed our most physically valuable years to the narcissists. A man may be starting from scratch, or needing to rebuild his economical status to increase his value after narcissistic abuse. If you have children, what does going no contact mean? Can you leave, and what age are the children? Children over 11 years old, with a narcissistic parent, will likely be heavily influenced by the narcissists, unless they have been educated about the abuse in their primary years. We lose our children to narcissistic spouses, grandparents, and siblings. The stakes are high, you cannot do it alone. At the very least, get a therapist, and join online private support groups to hear similar stories, and mostly good advice. Restrict yourself from sharing with people that have not experienced similar abuse, or do not understand, during your recovery. Otherwise it will upset your nervous system, and feel like being gaslighted all over again. To learn how to spot red flags, and setting boundaries, please listen to my essay, Narcissistic Red Flags, and Creating Boundaries. There is a link in the description and comments. Thank you for listening to Narcissist Essays, and please subscribe to my channel. Sending lots of love and strength to those of us victimized by narcissists.